What is up? Welcome back. It's been quite a long time. We are allies behind enemy lines. Ryan Silva and Joey Silva coming to you. A couple Redskins fans living in Dallas Cowboys territory. We are your allies behind enemy lines. Joey, say what's up to the people. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. I have two kids now. I think last time I don't even know if I had kids yet. Maybe did I have? I think I just had a kid, maybe. But now
No,
you're a new father.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think you had any. So now we're both dads. I got a dog now. I got my own house now. I'm not doing this from my bedroom in my parents' house. So we've moved up in life a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. We're making some moves. That's why we've been gone. We had to make some moves. Had to make some moves.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the team formerly known as the Redskins right now, they've been making plenty of moves. So that's kind of what you can expect here. If you are a returning fan, thanks for coming back. If you're a new listener, you're just going to be talking Redskins stuff here. A lot of it's going to be, obviously, because we are in Cowboy territory. I'm living in Dallas. Joey's just a little bit south of ways down in Austin, but still plenty of Cowboys fans here and there. So we might be able to give you a little bit of a taste of what it's like, again, living fully behind enemy lines, but still rooting on what is right now the Washington Football Club. So, Joey, I don't know where you want to start. Should we start with the name change? Should we just get right into it right there?
I think that's what's. We could jump into the controversy surrounding the team, but I think the fans want to talk most about the name change. That's where our focus is on. What are we going to be called this year? What our uniforms going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we're going to be called if we have any name. The report was that the announcement was that Daniel Snyder said we were going to be retiring the Redskins name and logo, and getting a new name, obviously. But we are ticking down to the beginning of the season. Obviously, there's still a lot of stuff with the coronavirus going around, a lot of stuff. Training camp's supposed to start here in the next couple weeks. So time is ticking. So we got to get a new logo, new team name, and possibly new uniforms. So it's going to be real interesting to see how that all goes about, how the Redskins might find a way to mess it up or fumble it, as they've been known to do. So I've been firmly in the Washington Warriors camp. That was my number one choice. And using maybe the Spear logo that we used back in the 70s, the 60s and 70s. I was a big fan of those uniforms, even when we brought them back in the Darryl Green days, and got to wear them as throwback uniforms. But then obviously the announcement was that they're not going to be using any kind of Native American imagery. So I think that kind of goes out the window there. Joy, why don't you let people know what camp you are in?
Easily. That was probably the worst howl ever I could probably do. I do, and I was gonna really get into it, but again, I have two babies sleeping in the house, and I was like, well, so part of my brain stopped me right there. I'm like, I don't want to wake the kids up with my howl, get attacked by the woman, and then go from there. But yes, the Red Wolves is where I'm firmly standing. I just think from a marketing standpoint, from a coolness standpoint, and from just a standpoint of taking a step forward. I mean, even to go as far as I've heard articles what people have posted, and I haven't researched these 100%, but they make sense. Is that even Native Americans, when they pass on, as they evolve, their spirit transforms into a wolf. And so it could even be the evolution of our team as we evolve into wolves. So it's just so many things I think that fit together. And the wolf pack, the howling, the young wolf, Chase Young. We could have all kinds of cool things to go on with that. I think it's something that really bring us together as we've been so torn apart, with all the controversy. And I think that a name like that will really bring the community and the Redskins fans back together. Or the Washington football team back together.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there. And if that is true about the Native American thing, that would be pretty cool if that their spirit passes on to become wolves. I think that is very cool. I'm also 1A, like I said, Warriors was number one. I guess a 1B would be the Red Wolves. I'm not a big fan of the Red Tails or any of this other stuff that's been coming out that are possibilities. But yeah, like you said, the Wolf Pack, the young wolf in Chase Young. Saw a funny tweet that our linebackers could be called the Wolf Blitzers. I don't hate that.
Yes, so, there's all kinds of things.
All kinds of stuff there. So if we do go Red Wolves, I won't hate it. Being a Coyotes fan, hockey, I've done plenty of howling in my day, so my voice is nice and warmed up. Seems like Joey, you're still a young wolf cub. You know, you gotta get that. You gotta get that howl down. You're still learning it.
I got the little snarls going on right now, so I gotta exercise these vocal cords. You know. So.
But I gotta tell you, like I said, the howling at games when things are going right, I mean, it's a blast. You know, when you got the whole crowd doing it, it adds a whole nother level to the game and to the aspect of cheering and being a fan. And then, you know, we've already seen a couple of reiterations of Hail to the Redskins, of Hail to the Red Wolves. So I think
Hail to the Red Wolves, Howl to the Red Wolves. You know, there's been everybody's covering every base as far as, you know, anything that anyone can say, oh, we're going to lose the song. No, we're not. We can just change the song, you know.
Yeah.
And the best part of that song, I don't care what anyone wants to say, was singing it together with the fans.
Yep.
You know, that's the best part of that song. So, I mean, whether we're singing it to the Wolves or we're singing it to the Redskins, we're still singing it together with people that support the same Washington team.
Absolutely. It was a blast when we'd sing it in D.C., but I think everybody can admit it was way more fun when you could get it going at a Cowboys game here in Dallas or, you know, anywhere else that we've been to see games. I mean, that's really when it's been fun. So, yeah, like I said, Howl to the Red Wolves. Howl victory, like absolutely. I mean, it's a great transition. Now, kind of going off of that. Obviously, we're under a new regime with Ron Rivera, and he's kind of been tasked as the leader of taking this whole Washington football team into the next reiteration of whatever it may be. Whether it's a winning franchise, we're hoping. I mean, we've been craving for it for 28 years now to get back to where we were. And so I think he's a great figurehead to kind of lead the charge here and take us into that new era of what could be Washington football and fans. But before I get to that, I just had a thought of what I wanted to get to before. When they announced that they were going to change the name, what was your first reaction and how did you feel about it?
Basically, if you would have been a year ago, I might have had a lot of different reaction. But based upon the climate of our country right now and with everything else going on, I was not surprised. I thought it was inevitability. They're going after everything and everybody. And that's something that's been on the hit list for a while. So it's, you know, I expected it. And to me, it's like I'm way more concerned about having the sport of football being played in the fall and then having, you know, a game to watch. And it's like, you know, it's one of those things that we're going to, you know, if it can get the focus, a negative focus off the organization that we've had since this, you know, it's everyone's first like comeback to us. You know, anytime you talk about the teams, what can you say? It'd be a racially, you know, insensitive team, you know, which again, we've had this discussion on past podcasts before. I don't want to really get back into that. It did not really. I didn't see it that way at that point. You know, at this point now, it's like I'm not gonna say I do see it that way, but I can see that it's become an issue enough that we need to get the focus off that issue and back onto the football field and what we can do to make this franchise a winning franchise again.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was in the same boat. Like I said, you know, a year or two ago, you asked me, and I would have been one of those fans. I was like, oh, if the Redskins change the name, I'm not a fan anymore. Not the case by any means. I mean, when it comes down to it, we are really just rooting for a jersey, especially in the Redskins case, because we have so much roster turnover. You get attached to a guy, and then right when you do, he leaves town and goes to find greener pastures and somewhere that he can win. So I agree. The way the climate is right now, I think it was time for a change. If people were offended by it and it made people feel uncomfortable and they didn't like it, you know, I'm not a big PC guy, but everyone has a right to feel comfortable and not be offended by something. If you are Native American, now if you're a white person and it offends you, you can fuck right off. But if you're Native American,
not your fight, brah. It's not your fight, brah.
Exactly, literally. Well, I could go on a diatribe for that for a long time. But if you're a Native American and you didn't like the name and it offended you, then by all means, I think it does need to be changed into something that sheds a more positive light and isn't a racial slur. And the thing is about the whole racial slur, like I get it 100% was or is still a racial slur, but the way the name Redskin was now taken over, you associate it with the football team. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
I didn't even know it was considered. I'm sure you're the same way until it became an issue, and it's like, whoa, I didn't even knew that. You know what I mean? It never meant anything to me before that. So it's just one of those things that, again, as we become smarter, wiser, whatever you want to call it, or more aware. And it's like, you know what? Like you say, we're rooting for a jersey. Let's move on. Let's take the focus off that and just and our franchise needs a reboot anyway. It's the perfect time for something like this to happen. You know.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. That's a great point. Now, getting back to the part of that reboot in Ron Rivera, again, great leader, great coach, had a lot of success in Carolina. Now, it didn't work out, obviously. He wouldn't have been let go if it did. Now, as he comes over to the Redskins, the Washington football team, whatever, we're probably going to call them the Redskins until we get an official name. So just a heads up there. For
just think of everybody that called San Diego. How long? I still call them San Diego Chargers.
The San Diego Chargers. You're still going to call them the Oakland Raiders. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to happen. So give us some time until we find a team.
Until they give us a name. When they have a name to call, we're going to call them the Redskins. We can't. We
can even pull a Prince and call them the football club formerly known as the
Redskins. Like there we go. There we go. That's their name for this year.
Yeah. So getting back to the Ron Rivera thing, now I like the hire. I like what he, coming in and changing the chemistry of the team and just kind of the whole situation surrounding DC football. The one thing I'm not a huge fan of is he's just bringing all his guys back over from Carolina. And my thought process is, if it didn't work in Carolina with those guys, what makes you think he's going to come here and work? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it's like what did you learn from that experience? You know, I mean, from what he's telling us is that it wasn't his. What it's telling us is that the personnel wasn't right. It wasn't his actual coaches. It wasn't the right players for those coaches. That's the kind of message I take from that. Whether it's true or not it remains to be seen. I actually went out there and grabbed Thomas Davis. One of his old linebacker guys, and so he's got some pieces in there. Whether it's a method or madness or just people there for a transitional period to help get people on his side. Whatever his tactic is on that, I'm not totally opposed to it because again, we don't know what he's going to be able to bring out of these players. You know what I mean? At that point, who knows what the tone was within Carolina with the whole Cam Newton situation? Was he going to be their starter? It wasn't a great situation to begin with. They had a lot of different things, like a small quarterback controversy back there with the guy we now have. We also brought him over as well. So which I think was actually a smart move. We can get to that another time, but I'm very open-minded. I put it this way: he's doing things, and we needed different. That's all we needed, different, and he's bringing different. Whether it's the same for him, it's different for us. We're gonna see what he can do with our players.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a good point. And also on top of that, I mean, I think for the first time in a long time, the first time that I can remember, it feels like our head coach, like we finally have a leader in the room. Like there's finally an adult that's chaperoning all these crazy kids that are running around, finger painting the walls and things like that. You know what I mean? It feels like we finally have somebody that can kind of corral the herd and put them in place and hopefully put them in a successful position. And that, like I said, that's the first time in a long time that I've truly felt that we have a leader as a head coach. I liked Jay Gruden. I liked his offensive mind, but we just saw that he never had a grasp on that locker room. Plenty of guys didn't like him. He would alienate guys big time. We saw that with the whole RG3 saga and things like that. So again, it feels good to finally have somebody that you think you can rely on, and I'm pretty sure that we can. And I mean, being us going in the right direction.
Being an ex-player is huge. I mean, that with anyone that knows that plays sports, if you're getting coached by someone that's actually done what you're asking them to do, it makes it so much easier than versus Jay Gruden might have played football, but he did not play it at the professional level. And Ron Rivera has that respect. And if you're gonna get that people to produce for you, you either have to have that level of respect, or you have to be the hardest worker in the Bill Belichick type. Who's going to outwork you? He's going to out scout you. He's going to out plan you. You have to have those type and be able to show the players that you're bringing something to them that they don't already have in themselves. And I think having someone like Ron Rivera, he commands that level of respect, and I think that's going to go far to be able to get guys to work for him. Now, what he does when he has these guys ready remains to be seen. What he does, how he executes when he has them on his side is the big question mark we have going into this season.
I agree, and I think another question mark we have is a lot of guys that are unproven that Redskins fans are behind. Obviously Dwayne Haskins, a guy even like Darius Geis. Guys that we are kind of getting behind it and hoping become those guys for us, they're
Mm-hmm.
not Ron Rivera's guys. So I mean, it's not. It won't be a shock if he kind of pulls the ripcord on a guy like Darius Guys. Maybe he only gives Haskins a year to prove himself, and then it's like, well, these aren't my guys. Let me get my guys in here and try to win some ball games here. So that's the part that kind of worries me a little bit is we've already invested a lot of equity in certain dudes,
Mm-hmm.
both offensively and defensively. Those are just two names that come to mind right off the top of my head. And having to feel like you might have to start over again, you know what I mean, with a couple of key positions.
Our only saving grace in all of that is that our cap space. We haven't done anything stupid and given a huge contract to anybody lately. I think Landon Collins is our last big contract we've really given out to someone who really hasn't produced for us what he can do yet. Hopefully that changes this season. But I mean, Dwayne Haskins in a perfect world, he's one that comes to my mind first because we used a first round draft pick on him, and if with someone like that, I wish he could have sat behind somebody else this year. I wish there was somebody, I know we talked a little briefly about Cam Newton coming in way before he signed with the Patriots, and we had our differing opinions on as we talked about it a little bit more, but just anybody that can come in and let him learn a little bit more because he was behind, who was it, Case Keenum, who was just basically trying to, exactly, I mean, he had Alex Smith there, but he didn't have someone there that was, had that fire to compete and watch somebody who has that fire to compete prep, you know what I mean? Like he had, I don't know how Case Keenum was working with it, really wasn't talked about a lot. And so we don't know what we really have in Haskins yet. So it's one of those things like it's does he get a year? Maybe. Maybe, I mean, Ron Rivera, they gave him a nice contract, but at the same time, he's going to be wanting to produce as well. So he's going to want to get the best players on the field. I would not be surprised if Dwayne Haskins if he's a starter and doesn't produce, that we don't see Kyle Allen quick.
Yeah, and see, that's what worries me. I'm not a huge Kyle Allen guy. Saw him play at A&M. I actually saw him play here in Dallas at A&M. Him and Kyler Murray were splitting snaps before he made his way to Arkansas, I believe. Or no, excuse me. He went to Arizona after that. Or no, he went to Houston after that. He's from Arizona. He went to Houston after A&M. Anyway, but yeah, I did hear that the quarterback room when Dwayne Haskins came in with Case Keenum and Alex Smith, who was there. I mean, Case Keenum was fighting for a job, so he wasn't going to try to help Dwayne Haskins a whole bunch, try to learn stuff because if Dwayne Haskins is a starter, well, then that's taking reps away from Case Keenum. That's taking money out of his pocket, if he can go somewhere else after and sign a free agent contract. So he wasn't real willing to help. And when you're a first-year guy coming in, that's huge. It's trying to have somebody that's going to want to groom you a little bit and help you along the way. It's funny how the NFL works because it's very paradoxical where, yeah, you're all on one team trying to win the championship or win the Super Bowl, that you have one ultimate goal. But at the same time, you're competing against maybe 5 or 6 other guys to get on the field. You know what I mean? So there's like that competition there, but also it's like, I'm not going to let this guy come beat me out. So yeah, it's good because it pushes you to another level. But at the same time, like, how much are you willing to help that guy and give up a little bit in order to help the guy next to you or behind you grow?
And that's why I was so excited with the this is months before when I thought that Alex Smith might have a chance to come back. And that would have been a best case scenario. Under contract this last year, come back and do 1 year and do exactly what he did with Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? That's because you look around the league and what Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, the people that have sat behind somebody really, that really helped them a lot. And it's worked. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers does the same thing for his little understudy
Jordan
there.
Love.
Exactly. I don't know if that's going to be the case there. We'll see if he just passes the torch the right way. But I mean, that's what I think a person like Dwayne Haskins needs because again, we all saw he has raw talent. He's got an arm from hell. He wants to do good. I mean, we saw his sideline speech last year. That showed me a lot. If he's willing to do that, you know what I mean? That wasn't an act. Some people say, "Oh, that was an act for a kid." That was not an act. That was somebody that wanted. What do I need to do to make us better? Or for you to believe in me? Basically, he was asking that team to believe in him, and which at that point I don't think anybody did. So what he does, and hopefully, we'll see this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't remember, it was kind of he was trying to tell his offensive lineman, like, hey, what do you need from me to put yourselves in a successful position? And nobody was even looking at him. Nobody was giving him the time of day. Guys were like smirking. I think it was
I forget the name of the guy. the one guy that who was the one backup guy that was rolling his eyes the most. I forget his name.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like, bro, you're a backup like right guard. Like, you should be telling this guy, you should be having Dwayne Haskins help you so maybe you could, be a starter one day in the NFL. But I mean, that's the type of culture that we were talking about that needs to change. Guys are just like, yeah,
whatever.
Here we go. Yeah, so I think that's something that Ron Rivera can do in changing that type of culture. But again, I hope he's able to give the guys that are already there a chance to perform before he pulls the ripcord on them and says, hey, let me get my guys in here. Because like I said, we've already invested a lot of equity as fans, and we want to see these guys succeed, because we've already invested a lot in them. Like you said, Dwayne Haskins, the #1 pick. And so I just hope that they're given the right opportunity and the right chance to produce and perform well for this team and help taking us to that next level and that next new era of football.
Definitely. And I think that he will. I think that, having that first round pick in Dwayne Haskins and something he's worked with him, and just from what we've seen, if anyone that's followed him on social media, that he's been putting into work since he could. He's one of the first people that walked into the facility when it opened, and so he's doing all the right things that he can right now. And I think that goes a long way with someone like Ron Rivera, and he's going to see that, and he's going to give him that chance that we're hoping he gets. So.
Yeah, for sure. And you talk to any guys that played with Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State, and they loved him. They said he is that dude. He is that dude. So that's always good when you hear that from your peers that have nothing to gain from praising other dudes and lifting them up. So going swiftly transitioning into something that wasn't so great. It was a story that came out last week, I think Wednesday or Thursday, about, yet again, the culture in the Redskins organization, this time more so in the front office. 15 women came forward and said that they were sexually harassed or pretty much sexually harassed in various ways by different guys in the front office. There's our 2 lead scouts, and then Larry Michael, I believe is his name, the voice of the Redskins, has been around for 15 plus years. They're accosted a little bit, telling they're being told that they need to dress skimpier and show a little more skin to make sure they're closing deals and things like that. And Daniel Snyder was well aware of it. We all know that he was, but he didn't do anything to stop it. And so, again, from the top down, that's where that culture change needs to start. And kind of backtracking a little bit, you and I have already talked about this scandal. But I really want to put something out there on the media, on the Washington media, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, just wait, this big story is coming," and we saw all this crazy stuff on message
Reddit
boards, Reddit. See, Reddit, you got to take with a grain of salt because you can find literally anything on Reddit. You know what I mean? Like, you think Wayfair is where they're trafficking kids in cabinets? I bet you on Reddit is where it's actually happening.
Exactly.
Not to make a joke of that. Yeah, not to make a joke out of that, but I kind of just did. But so it was when the story did break, as bad as it is, 15 women were being accosted or sexually harassed while working in a place you should go and be comfortable and just with your everyday life. That wasn't happening for them, and everybody knew about it and didn't do a damn thing. But the story broke, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's it." You know what I mean?
That's
like,
it?
And that's not how it should be. That's not how it should be. Like, this is a serious story.
Exactly. I mean, what I think what a lot of it was, and even both of us were there, is we all the speculation about pimping and benching somebody. They got benching was it Capri Bibbs? Yeah, and so that who was supposed to be blocking when Alex Smith got hurt. All these random. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we were hearing and reading on Reddit versus like very big scandals versus something that we kind of already knew. I mean, it seems like this. Yeah. They gave us a glimpse of this a few years ago with the cheerleading scandal and the private parties and the yacht parties that were going on there. And now women were being forced. They say being asked to do things that made them uncomfortable. So we kind of already knew this within our culture. And I'm not to say that makes it okay. I'm just saying that it's something that's already been shown that needed to change within our culture. You know what I mean? So it's saying that and these allegations had not it wasn't happening at this time, and things were happening at that same time when those allegations had come out. So it's a thing that's been going on with our culture, and I think it's just something that really, really just shows to me how the culture needs to change. It's just to me, it's just saying how that culture needs to change. Anyone that's involved in that regime needs to be relieved of their duties, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything that we heard was like, oh, this is gonna like Daniel Snyder's not gonna be the owner of the Redskins after this. Like he's gonna be forced to sell,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was really built up to be this big thing. And then, like I said, and then once it dropped, it was like, oh, I mean, that's it. Again, terrible, terrible stuff to happen. We did
Mm-hmm.
already kind of know about the whole cheerleader stuff where they were forced to, go sit on the laps of season ticket holders, go to these private parties and things like that. That came out a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we were waiting for this nuclear bomb to be dropped, and I think, like I said, I think that story came out Thursday. I mean, by Saturday, it was kind of like over.
It was
I mean,
dead. I mean,
this was gonna be like NFL changing news, and that just wasn't the case at all. We've
I
seen it
mean,
happen in the NBA. Go ahead.
exactly. I mean, I was just gonna say, you saw almost every Redskin beat reporter and social media of the Redskins kind of post one retweet about it or a post about it, and then right back to the name change stuff. Everybody was like, all right, that story's got there. Let's get back to what we're gonna be called.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of guys that we like, that we follow. JP Finley, John Kime, like a lot of guys that are locked in with the Redskins, and I want to call them out, personally, because I think a lot of this was clout chasing. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I don't have this story, but I want you to know that I have the knowledge of this story that's going to be coming out. So just watch. Just remember, I'm the one that told you that this story was going to come out. It's like, who
It's
cares?
like it's like
If you don't
it's
have the
like
story,
exactly. It's like the friend in high school tell you, "Oh, I got a secret, but I can't tell you."
yeah,
It's like
exactly. Exactly, because then you just want everybody chasing you around saying, "Oh, what is it? What is it? What is it?"
It's
Like I said,
social currency. Yeah, social currency or
mm-hmm.
media currency is what you're calling it, and then trying to get that clout. And so it's kind of, we don't need that right now. We don't need that within our organization, our community, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely not. And guys like that are plugged in. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Hey, wait for the story that the Washington Post is gonna drop," how about you
Mm-hmm.
do some work and you go and investigate this story a little bit? There was rumors
Uh-huh.
that this was an inside job because the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, and this was going
Mm-hmm.
to be his way to kind of take down Daniel Snyder, maybe take over the team, which I was all down for. I'm 100% down for Emperor Bezos to take over and
He can do no
and be
wrong.
the
He can
owner.
do no wrong.
I'm saying, like, whatever he would do, I'm sure it would work. We go from
Uh-huh.
FedEx Field to Amazon Prime Field, something like that. But again, the buildup of the story
Uh-huh.
did not meet the actual story. And again, don't get me wrong, we are both saying this story is terrible. It's horrible. It should not happen. But because of the way the media surrounding the Redskins
Mm-hmm.
organization hyped it up, it just absolutely fell flat right on its face. And it's unfortunate that happened. But again, not only can you point a finger at what was going on in the front office and how bad it was, and the culture, and how Daniel Snyder just let these things go on. I think anything surrounding the football team in Washington, whether it's front office, whether it's sales, whether it's the guys in the locker room, coaching staff, media, like that whole culture and mindset, like that needs to change 100%.
That
And unfortunately, I don't think it does until Daniel Snyder is out, but it needs to start trending that way.
And you made me think about something that's even crazier when you were just talking about that. Is what if that was the plan all along with the media? It's
Yeah.
like the door in the face technique. Basically you
Yeah.
hype it up, and then when it comes out, it's like, oh, that ain't that bad. But if there was no
Mm-hmm.
build up to it at all, it would have came out and sounded a lot worse. You know what I mean? So what
Yeah.
if that was what if that was a strategy all along? That would be kind of that'd become very politicianish of our organization.
It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me at all if Daniel Snyder caught wind of this and said,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I need you guys to start blowing this thing out of proportion and tell them it's going to be a story of epic proportions where it's going to,
Yeah.
change the NFL, or just, whatever, just drop an absolute nuclear bomb on DC football." And so they
Uh-huh.
do that, and then it's like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, it's not
Just
that
got some
bad.
girl again. It's not saying justifying about just some cheerleaders dancing with some private ticket holders.
Yeah,
But
exactly,
anyway,
exactly. So shifting kind of away from the Redskins and the unfortunate news that they are bringing, whether it's the name change. I mean, that's not unfortunate. I think that's pretty positive, but mostly the scandal that dropped. One thing I do want to talk about that is kind of Redskins adjacent. That's going on big time here, and it's going to affect the Redskins moving forward in a roundabout way, is the Dak Prescott contract situation.
oh boy,
So
he did
he's
not make.
playing under. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm gonna let you go.
So he's playing under the franchise tag this year, a little over 31 million. I think it's 31.7 million. Only the third quarterback to play on the franchise tag. Drew Brees was the first one, and I think we all know who the second guy was. He is now suiting up for the purple and gold up in Minnesota. He actually
I
played
know
on the
he's
franchise
TikTok
tag
famous
twice.
right now. He's TikTok famous
Yeah,
now.
I loved it. That was so funny. That was perfect. The guy that set that up, like he just played it so perfectly. It was great.
Yes.
But if you guys don't know what we're talking about, go ahead and look at like I think it's the Kirk Cousins challenge or the Minnesota Vikings challenge, something like that. It's pretty funny. So yeah, he's gonna be playing under the franchise tag again. It's kind of Redskins adjacent because we face those guys twice a year, and he's owned us up to this point. I think he's only lost one game so far in his career to the Redskins.
You know,
And
it was
so
that, yeah.
yeah, so it's going to affect us, and I don't know what the Cowboys are doing, what Jerry Jones is doing, why they haven't signed this guy to a major deal yet. They had a chance 2 years ago to extend him for like $25 million a year, and now they're paying $31 million just for 1 year. And if they have to franchise him again next year, it's going to go up to $37 million, and then after that, it shoots up to like $50 million a year. And the Cowboys have fumbled this in every which way possible. When we saw the Patrick Mahomes, $500 million contract, everyone was like, well, what does this mean for Dak Prescott? Nothing. That dude's not going to get anywhere near that money. What we saw was the $140 million that he was guaranteed, that Mahomes was guaranteed, and I think that's closer to the number that Prescott's going to get.
Well, I'll tell you what. We all know the story. The Kirk Cousins. I think that the Cowboys have themselves a Kirk Cousins situation right now,
Yeah.
where they have a guy who they're not really sure. And that's what it tells me, is that they're not really sure he's the guy, because they haven't got the deal done, or they did not get the deal done. If that's your guy, again, you're not paying him $500 million like you did Patrick Mahomes, but you're signing your guy. They signed Zeke. You signed DeMarcus Lawrence. You signed all your big pieces. You're gonna sign
Amari
your guy.
Cooper.
Amari Cooper, yes, I mean, a huge one that we could have had almost. I'm glad we didn't actually, but that just lets me know that they're not gonna know. I think that he's gonna have, based upon how, they haven't done a lot with their offseason, and they're a big question mark on how they're gonna perform, and he's gonna have another lackluster year, and they're still not gonna know at the end of this year, and they're gonna be in that same boat that we were with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think I couldn't agree more. The fact that they haven't signed him to a long-term deal tells you that they aren't sure, and it's wild because, I mean, he's seen a lot of success. Now, he's seen kind of some up and down years, but the fact that you decide to pay your running back before you paid your quarterback is just wild to me. And it's another case of I think Jerry liking the big shiny toy in Zeke, when what you really need is a pickup truck, and I think that's Dak. Old reliable. He'll be able to help you move. Pack up your bed and couch and throw it in the bed of your truck, and you can count on him. Whereas the Ferrari might break down, and it's going to cost you a lot more money to get fixed up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this situation, because it is going to affect the Redskins, one way or the other.
And not to mention that, as obviously we're allies behind enemy lines. We do not particularly like the Cowboys organization, but
no. We hate the Cowboys. Hate.
I'm in this whole positive state of mind, trying to say positive things.
No. Not when it comes to the Cowboys.
Okay, fuck the Cowboys. But
thank you.
There we go. But Dak Prescott has shown great character on and off the field, and and it's one of those things. It's like that's the kind of guy you want to have at the face of your franchise. He hasn't had these things that Zeke has had. With all these little controversies here and there. And I think that, other than, I guess, the party they had or whatever that was, which in my opinion wasn't a huge thing anyway, but that's someone that, again, he checks all the boxes. He checks all the boxes. He makes plays happen. Like you say, he's reliable. He's reliable on every play. He plays his heart out in every play. And with not signing him, and now he's in the situation where he's like, he knows he's more valuable. He's got the upper hand now. He basically has the upper hand now. I don't see him giving that up until he gets the number that he wants. And that's only what that means to me as a Redskin fan, is they're not going to be able to re-sign Van Der Esch, Jalen Smith, all these guys who are coming up, that offensive line that's blocking for Zeke. All these guys are going to be coming up with their contracts. Someone's going to be some odd men out there.
Yeah, no, agreed. That defense needs a lot of help. Now, I think Jalen Smith did get his contract. I'll have to
Oh
double
yeah,
check on
that's
that. But
right.
I think they did get sign him to an extension. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, they had to let guys go like Byron Jones. They had to let go some big key pieces on that defense that is already lackluster as it is, in order to keep these guys on the offensive side of the ball. You know, obviously Demarcus Lawrence. Now they don't even know if he's going to even play this year, because he has a pregnant wife. He wants to be there for the birth of their child. And you know, with the pandemic going on, there's too many question marks there for him. And I think that has a lot to do with it too, as to why the Cowboys aren't signing Dak to this big deal just yet. Although
Mm-hmm.
again, they did have the chance to do it before. So again, you still have to kind of throw that into the question there. Um, but yeah, it's going to affect the Cowboys, which is going to in turn either help or hurt. I think more so help. I'm really leaning to the help side of it towards the Redskins, because
No,
they're either gonna have to
definitely.
start over with a brand new quarterback, or like you said, they're gonna have so much money tied up into like four positions that, you know, they're not gonna be able to sign guys to other places. You know, they still have guys on the offensive line that still need to get paid, and we've seen that without guys like Travis Frederick and a lot of these other fellas that were, you
Mm-hmm.
know, hosses for them up there,
Mm-hmm.
that when it's not there, you know, a lot of stuff is going to fall by the wayside, like your running back production. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, just a quick aside: Jalen Smith, I did look it up, did sign a 6-year, $68 million contract, so he is locked
okay,
up for a while. But
yeah,
just to clear that up. But yeah, I mean, and as you think about that, I mean, think about the Cowboys when they're minus Zeke. I'm just kind of like, we have a chance. But when they're
yeah,
minus Dak, I'm like, who do they have? You know what I mean? Like, we
yeah,
know we're gonna win the game. You know what I mean? He's the kind of person that changes that. You know, I think Zeke is a great complement to that and the way he can create plays. But without Dak, that team is not winning 8 games. You know?
they got nothing. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I could not agree more. Could not agree more. All right, well, I mean, that's all I got on the agenda, Joey. I think this was a good first episode. Is there anything that you wanted to add on to here that we could kind of finish up with?
Just your thoughts on maybe before we kind of talk about the roster next time, but just your
Yeah.
quick thoughts on how you think it's going to affect our team not having a preseason games. People like Thaddeus Moss and these guys that really, you know, they were probably on the cusp as
Mm.
going in anyway. They're not going to have a chance to prove themselves in game situations before we're up to cut the roster down.
Yeah, no, it's going to be tough. I think that they should expand the rosters a little bit, maybe expand them to like 60. Obviously, the owners aren't going to be in favor of that, because then they're cutting 7 more checks each week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to be super tough. Maybe expand the practice
Practice
roster,
squad, yeah.
practice squad roster. So yeah, it's going to be tough. You know, Thaddeus Moss, I think, is a perfect example of a guy that we would like to see get game reps at the professional level. It was the guy that I wanted us to draft, and we were able to lock him up as an undrafted free agent. So that's going to be huge. But yeah, those back end of the draft guys, those are going to be the ones that I'm worried about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
obviously Chase Young, no issue there.
Uh-huh.
Who's the other? The Gandy Jones, or
All our Antonios. We got a couple
yeah,
Antonios.
all the Antonios. Bring them all. Let's add one more Antonio. There's rumors that we might bring Antonio Brown, so we'd have the 3 Antonios going.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's gonna be tough. And then obviously, like, you know, for a guy like Thaddeus Moss, building some rapport and some chemistry with Dwayne Haskins, that's going to be tough. That's going to be something they have to do on their own, and that's even harder because you have, you know, restrictions all over the U.S. and all over the world
Mm-hmm.
of what you can and can't do. So it's going to be huge, and I think it's a big curveball that was thrown to Ron Rivera, you know, in his
Mm-hmm.
first year. Obviously, all other 31 teams are faced with this, and the ones with new head coaches, they're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit more. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it is going to unfortunately negatively affect us, and it's just one of those things that you're just going to have to work out.
You know, and with that being said, you know, I don't want to get too far into this, but I mean, as far as, you know, with the possibilities of people being infected and having to quarantine multiple players at any time, they almost have to be able to expand the roster to be
Yeah.
able to set up situations for that, because you get your defensive line room that everyone gets corona. I mean, and they're
Yeah,
quarantined for
exactly.
2. I mean, what are you gonna do? You got to have 2 teams,
Yeah.
and so
You're,
yeah, that's
you're,
the side
you're,
to think
you're,
about.
you have your starting team and then your quarantine.
Yeah, your quarantine. Oh, hashtag
But,
quarantine. You heard it here first. But anyway, something to throw in there before you sign us off, Ryan. I did see an article today. This goes back to our name change thing. That was kind of funny, and people throwing out the name the Sentinels.
yeah, from the
You know,
replacements.
for the replacements, because that team is loosely based on our our strike team from '87 that won the Super Bowl. So I think that was kind of cute that's going to be thrown in there, and how that would be a full circle story for that to become a real life team. But anyway, I'm still Team Red Wolves, but Sentinels might have a little wild card spot there.
Yeah, no doubt. My biggest thing is just keep the burgundy and gold. That's my biggest thing. I don't want a total revamp where there's like the Washington Generals, or which obviously already has a negative connotation to it because of the Harlem Globetrotters been dropping 3,000 points on them every game, but or like the Washington Senators or whatever. And then go like a red, white, and blue motif. Like, yeah, that's cool, but a lot of teams use red, white, and blue as their main colors. My biggest thing with the name changes is keep the burgundy and gold. Maybe if we go more burgundy and white with gold, gold details, cool. I'd like to see a black uniform.
Yeah.
Throw some black in there. I know a lot of people are against the black uniforms just for the sake of using black uniforms, but I'm a big fan of it. But yeah, I did see that Sentinels article as well. But again, no matter what the team is, my biggest thing is just keep the burgundy and gold, baby.
Yes, and one more thing to add on to that. I'm sorry, I keep adding things on here. But,
just keep it going, baby.
But are people gonna be frowned upon for wearing Redskin gear? Are you like now that is it gonna be like a racial slur to still wear the stuff, or like
I was curious about that same thing. As you can see, I'm still sporting the Redskins hat.
As am I.
I have 100 other ones just like this in various colors and shapes and sizes. But it's definitely a question that should be raised. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that it's just kind of like becomes like a relic, an old school like throwback. Obviously, we're never going to see the Redskin logo back on a football field. Not like they're going to, in 2040, they're going to throw it back to the 1990s and use the Redskins logo as a throwback. They're definitely not doing that. But
exactly.
So I hope
we will have no more throwbacks. Our throwback game is over.
Literally done. The only thing we can use is maybe the R, and and instead of the feather, it's the wolf's tail. But literally our throwbacks are gone. As far as we know, we can't do another throwback for like 30 years. You know what I mean? It's going to be the first iteration of whatever we have this season.
Exactly.
What if we just went out there just burgundy and gold and just blank helmets? You know what I mean? Just like a burgundy helmet with no logo. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that.
Like a Notre Dame look, kind of there, just kind of, or Penn State.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, just like that.
Yeah, whatever gets them on the field at this point, I'm happy for.
We're still gonna be there rooting. We're still gonna be there, maybe howling, doing something,
crying,
yeah,
howling.
Probably mostly crying. After we give old Ronnie boy a couple years to get things established up there. But all in all, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and without fans, it might be our first year in a long time that we don't see a Redskin game live.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's wild. I'm still holding out hope for the Thanksgiving Day game. But
I had my eyes on the Cleveland game. I had my eyes just to see maybe we could go to the Hall of Fame, but it's looking like that's not going to be a possibility. That's too early in the season.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's funny. So my buddy Warren, who you met on my bachelor party, he's a big Browns fan, and so we do a sports radio show and talk show together. And we talked about the rivalry game there, and not making an appearance, but just things like that. And then it kind of came up of going, but I don't think that's happening either. And he's an Ohio State fan too. He's from Ohio. And, they're talking about changing the name of Columbus, Ohio to Flavortown, Ohio, which I was like, bro, if that's Flavortown, Ohio, I'm there. Just a little funny side story, I thought. But that Cleveland game would have been cool because, obviously the polarizing figures that the Browns have on that team. It'd be fun to watch. And then obviously you get to see our football team. I said our skins, but we'd see our football team there.
And the Hall of Fame.
And the Hall of Fame. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Right on. Well, I think this was a great intro. You kind of got a taste of what it's going to be. We'll have some news, some notes, a lot of opinion stuff, some corny jokes like the quarantine. We'll have some good jokes in there as well. A lot of bumbling and stumbling from both of us. So if you can work through that, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, and maybe eventually we can get this where we can do this actually and premiere it live and have you guys, comment in at the same time and ask us questions as we're going. So that could be something down the road.
That'd be great.
And as we do more of these, our quality shall improve, and our logos probably will improve. But we just wanted to get something out there to set a baseline and build from there. So we appreciate you guys giving us a chance.
Absolutely. My lighting will improve. I promise that. I was trying with some different angles here with my lighting, so that'll improve as well. But like I said, I think a great debut / comeback. For the allies behind enemy lines. We will be back next week, same time, same place. I don't know if we sign out for the howl or we just we wait for that. I guess let's wait for that. I don't want to jinx it. We'll wait.
Yeah,
we'll wait.
Jinx it. No jinx it.
We'll wait till next time. For Joey, I'm Ryan. And again, we are your allies behind enemy lines.
Bye, guys.